Hello, my name is Dr. Yvonne Murray Laria, and I am so excited to go even deeper with you as we discuss the convergence of crises and your social emotional wellness. So let's get started digging. All right, so you will understand stresses, Rumi. You will get to meet Rumi. Where do your stresses reside? Convergence of crises. So, stresses. What are some of the stresses that we're all facing? Currently, we're facing COVID-19, fear of contracting it, fear of dying, fear of death, illness, feeling ill equipped to teach in this new virtual space, teaching from home, inadequate resources, homeschooling your children, if you have them, while working. You have aging parents and relatives, significant others, going back into a building or returning to a classroom, social injustices, systemic racism, lowered confidence, loss of motivation, self, your own motivation, your students, and your colleagues. So these are some of the stresses that we are dealing with now, but we've dealt with in the past, and we will continue to deal with some of these as time goes on. So where on your body does your stress show up? All right, so this is Rumi. I want to introduce you to Rumi. Rumi is androgynous, so Rumi can be a male, female, or necessarily binary. So where on your body does your stress show up? Does your stress show up around your head, on your head, in your head? You get headaches. Does your stress show up on your shoulders? I know that when I am stressed, my shoulders hurt. My shoulders, that's where my stress shows up. Then does your stress show up in your heart? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling overwhelmed, fearful? Is that where it's showing up in your emotions, in your extremities? Are you experiencing different types of physiological symptoms? So where on your body does your stress show up? So I want you to spend some time thinking about this. Don't rush through this, but I want you to spend some time thinking about where on your body does your stress show up. And then we're going to now talk about the convergence of crises. So we talked about these stresses earlier, and now we're going to talk about the convergence of crises. Got this picture here because it shows perfectly what happens when things converge. So we see multiple tributaries here, and they are converging on the bigger river. That's what convergence is. Multiple streams, multiple channels, all coming together and flowing into your life. And so let's look and see what it means, the definition of convergence of crises. So convergence means confluence or conjunction, coordinated movements coming together, meeting or merging. And crisis means boiling point, breaking point, an unstable or crucial time or phase, a situation that has reached a critical phase, an emotionally significant event or radical change of status in a person's life, all happening at the same time, converging, meeting. Like you have when you get on the freeway, you're merging into the ongoing traffic. That's what happens. That's what we're talking about as we talk about convergence of crises. And so here's some of those convergence of crises again. We talked about the stresses, having multiple of those stresses coming together, occurring, merging at the same time in your life creates these crises. We talked about COVID. We talked about work, school, life balance, stress management, time management, decision making in very pressured spaces, economic challenges, experiencing job losses, financial assistance, spiritual crosswords. Many people are questioning their spiritual beliefs and traditions and practices. Then we have education challenges, academic, relational, logistical, digital divide, etc. And then there are people who have insufficient resources, and there are people who have sufficient resources, accessible to them or unaccessible. And so those are some of convergence of crises. And I'm sure you can think you might even be at this point experiencing multiple crises converging. Mental health challenges. There's an increase in depression, anxiety, and suicide. This is going to continue. Trauma and crises. We have domestic violence, child abuse. Right now in the US, the food insecurity, the numbers for that is astronomical. Over 45 million people in the US are experiencing food insecurities. And so these are what we call convergence of crises. And when this occurs, it impacts your social emotional wellness. It impacts that. It is important that you understand, as we dug deeper into the convergence of crises, it is important that you do this work. Where on your body, that's why we asked you earlier, where on your body do you experience these stresses? It's important that you know this. It's important that you discover it. And we've given you ways to do that. We've given you some ways, some strategies, some questions to ask yourself to help you uncover, dig up, excavate the crises that you are experiencing as they converge on you. All right. So we'll see you in the next module.